Welcome back to the AI Daily Brief. Today we have something really interesting, almost a point counterpoint on agent architectures, which is particularly pertinent as the conversation around agentic systems becomes more mainstream and more endemic inside the enterprise. On the one hand, we have Anthropic, which published a piece called How We Built Our Multi-Agent Research System. It's a really in-depth piece that shows the architecture of their research system, featuring an orchestrator, subagents, tools, etc. And then on the flip side, we have a blog post from the creators of Devon, the AI code generation tool, with an argument against building multi-agent systems. This is obviously a hot topic. For those of you who remember my coverage of Microsoft Build, one of the things that was really notable is that they skipped right on over the stage where we were all excited about some single agent that could do a bunch of stuff, and instead moved right into this multi-agent orchestration era, where they're building infrastructure for and thinking about and pushing on their customers more complex agentic systems where multiple agents can come together to accomplish more complete and extensive tasks. So let's dig into both of these arguments and figure out what we have to learn from each of them. And let's start with Anthropic. Anthropic's paper talks about multi-agent systems using Anthropic's research agent as an example. The research agent drives Anthropic's version of deep research, with the basic idea to ensure that the system can search out information across the web, collate it, and produce a final report. Anthropic achieves this through a multi-agent system. They write in their section titled Benefits of a Multi-Agent System, research work involves open-ended problems where it's very difficult to predict the required steps in advance. You can't hard-code a fixed path for exploring complex topics as the process is inherently dynamic and path-dependent. This unpredictability makes AI agents particularly well-suited for research tasks. The model must operate autonomously for many turns, making decisions about which directions to pursue based on intermediate findings. A linear one-shot pipeline cannot handle these tasks. And so Anthropic instead turns to a multi-agent research system. The system uses a central lead agent that orchestrates the process and multiple subagents that access search tools. A user request comes to the lead agent, which then strategizes. The task is broken down into different chunks, and instructions are provided to subagents to carry out each portion of the task. The subagents can iterate on their search and go a little deeper if they need to, but they're ultimately designed to find very granular individual pieces of information. Anthropic gives the example of using the research feature to find a list of every board member across S&P 500 companies. In that example, each subagent might be tasked with looking for a single company's list of board members, and once those individual results are returned, the lead agent collates them into a single report. There are lots of benefits to the method that Anthropic describes. Tasks are run in parallel with dozens of subagents working at the same time on different tasks, which, as you would imagine, significantly increases speed. It also means that each individual subagent is less critical. In single-agent systems, a single failed task could break the entire workflow, whereas with a multi-agent system, the orchestration agent can just spawn a new subagent, modifying the instructions and try again. Anthropic found that they could run tasks using lesser models as subagents and actually come up with improved results. A multi-agent system with Claude 4 Opus as the orchestrator and Claude 4 Sonnet subagents outperformed a single Claude 4 Opus agent by 90.2% on their internal evaluations. Multi-agent systems also allow you to work around context limits. The subagents can use as many tokens as they need to complete a task, which is a small fragment of the overall workflow. You're essentially working across multiple context windows that all feed a compressed answer back to the lead agent. For complex tasks, this avoids having the issue of a single agent hitting the context limit before the task is complete. Indeed, Anthropic basically says that there's nothing all that complicated about why these multi-agent systems work. They write, multi-agent systems work mainly because they help spend enough tokens to solve the problem. We found that token usage by itself explains 80% of the improvement of multi-agent systems. In the particular use case of research on the internet, Anthropic argued that a multi-agent system is the most suitable. Now, this ability to use more tokens is also a downside. Multi-agent systems can be extremely expensive to run. They write, in our data, agents typically use around 4 times more tokens than chat interactions, and multi-agent systems use around 15 times more tokens than chats. They write, multi-agent systems require tasks where the value of the task is high enough to pay for the increased performance. All right, so that is the multi-agent research system example. But what about this blog post titled simply Don't Build Multi-Agents? This one, as I said, comes from Cognition, who are mainly focused on building an AI and agentic coding platform. Author Walden Yan writes, frameworks for LLM agents have been surprisingly disappointing. I want to offer some principles for building agents based on our own trial and error and explain why some tempting ideas are actually quite bad in practice. Basically, the argument here is that instead of building a multi-agent system, which they argue can be quite fragile, build a single agent that can reliably complete tasks end to end. Now, what they're not suggesting is some simple architecture of just using one giant agent, loading it up with context, and letting it run. But instead, they're suggesting that users should try a linear handoff design. They cover this in a few different levels of complexity with differences in how the handoff is achieved. But the basic idea is that the first agent receives the query and breaks the requisition down into steps, very similar to the orchestrating agent in a multi-agent system. But then it hands off the necessary context to a sub-agent to complete the first subtask. This sub-agent then hands off the original context with their additions to the next sub-agent, and so on and so forth. And context is the key word here. In fact, the big term that they're focused on in this piece is context engineering. They write, in 2025, the models out there are extremely intelligent, but even the smartest human won't be able to do their job effectively without the context of what they're being asked to do. Prompt engineering was coined as a term for the effort needed to write your task in the ideal format for an LLM chatbot. Context engineering is the next level of this. It's about doing this automatically in a dynamic system. It takes more nuance and is effectively the number one job of engineers building AI agents. By way of example, they show a simple schematic of a main agent that breaks down a task into two subtasks, spitting up two subagents to do those tasks, with the main agent then combining the results. They write, this is a tempting architecture, especially if you work in a domain of tasks with several parallel components to it. However, it's very fragile. The key point of failure is this. They then use an example of building a Flappy Bird clone. They write, this task gets divided into subtask 1, build a moving game background with green pipes and hitboxes, and subtask 2, build a bird you can move up and down. It turns out subagent 1 actually mistook your subtask and started building a background that looks like Super Mario Bros. Subagent 2 built you a bird, but it doesn't look like a game asset and it moves nothing like the one in Flappy Bird. Now the final agent is left with the undesirable task of combining these two miscommunications. The issue here, or the concern at least, is that the subagents don't have enough context to actually deliver the result that the context requires. The blog writes, you might think that a simple solution would be to just copy over the original task as context to the subagents as well. That way they don't misunderstand their subtask. But remember that in a real production system, the conversation is most likely multi-turn. The agent probably had to make some tool calls to decide how to break down the task, and any number of details could have consequences on the interpretation of the task. Unfortunately, they suggest that just giving the context still might not be enough, or at least doesn't address all the problems. In the second scenario, where each of the subagents has the context of the conversation and action so far, as well as their work assignments, still could have problems. They write, when you give your agent the same Flappy Bird cloning task this time, you might end up with a bird and background with completely different visual styles. Subagent 1 and Subagent 2 cannot see what the other was doing, and so their work ends up being inconsistent with each other. This leads them to two principles of agent design. Principle 1, share context and share full agent traces, not just individual messages. And Principle 2, actions carry implicit decisions and conflicting decisions carry bad results. The author writes, I would argue that Principles 1 and 2 are so critical and so rarely worth violating that you should by default rule out any agent architectures that don't abide by them. You might think that this is constraining, but there is actually a wide space of different architectures you could still explore for your agent. And that's where we get into the idea of the single agent that breaks down the task in much the same way that the orchestration agent does, but then does the tasks sequentially and linearly, carrying the context of conversations and actions with it at each step. Now, this is not a silver bullet. As they point out, you might run into issues for very large tasks with so many subparts that context windows start to overflow. However, the author argues for a set of different approaches that can solve that problem. So one example they give of a slightly different architecture for longer tasks is still using the same chain of the original agent doing the subtasks, but with another LLM providing context compression along the way. Instead of handing off the full context, a side process compresses the key moments and decisions of the conversation and action so far into a smaller, more manageable set of context that can be used for the next part of the sequence. Cognition writes, this is hard to get right. It takes investments into figuring out what ends up being the key information and creating a system that is good at this. So what to make of these differences in approach? First of all, it's important to remember that we are talking about different sets of use cases here. Cognition is narrowly focused on coding agents, and although the author is not strictly talking about coding agents, this is a main example that they're drawing from as they talk about building a high-performance agent that can take on long tasks while retaining context throughout. Anthropic, on the other hand, are talking specifically about workflows that lend themselves to parallelization. Basically, any workflow where the subtasks are completely independent and discrete and don't rely on one another in how they need to be recombined, could be a good candidate for using multi-agent systems. They even note that not every use case is good for this type of system that they're talking about. They write, some domains that require all agents to share the same context or involve many dependencies between agents are not a good fit for multi-agent systems today. For instance, most coding tasks involve fewer truly parallelizable tasks than research, and LLM agents are not yet great at coordinating and delegating to other agents in real time. We found that multi-agent systems excel at valuable tasks that involve heavy parallelization, information that exceeds single context windows, and interfacing with numerous complex tools. So when it comes to which of these approaches you or your company should take, as always, context is king and the use case matters. Are the subtasks dependent upon one another, or are they truly independent and can be done in parallel? The answer to that is going to dictate which of these systems might be the better choice. The other point to remember is that this is very much a snapshot in time. The cognition author even writes that they're optimistic about the long-term possibilities of agents collaborating with one another. It's just that right now, in their estimation, running multiple agents in collaboration at today's capability levels results in fragile systems. As you might imagine, there are very few areas of development right now that have more sheer tonnage of brainpower on solving some of these issues than these questions of multi-agent systems. So while as much of the cognition post is well considered, and as we discussed, Anthropic even agrees with in some ways, the constraints of today are unlikely to be the constraints of tomorrow. Still, two really valuable pieces, and hopefully even for a lay audience that's listening to this, gives you a better sense of how agents are being built right now and how you might want to think about them. For now, that's going to do it for today's AI Daily Brief. Until next time, peace